There we go. Okay. Well, again, welcome to the Attached Apps Partner Lunch and Learn session for today. My name is Sylvia Grabner, and with me I have Peter Sabian.
Hey, everyone.
And I'm the Director of the Partner and Customer Services, so I'm responsible for ensuring that all of our partners have all the resources that they need to be successful with selling attached apps to their own customers. And I also do the support on the customer end. And Peter, I'll let you speak as to your role.
Sure. Yeah, I cross over to some of those functions that Sylvia just mentioned, working with partners and helping partners get up and running and effectively working with their clients to get them set up with attached apps and be productive with it.
Great. So some of you may have attended previous webinars where we've covered, things like our positioning in the SMB market, the benefits of using our apps, and what makes us unique compared to other offerings. You may have already seen or be familiar with some of the app functionality as well. So one of the recurring themes we have heard from our partners, though, is that you really want to be able to be more familiar with our products before you can begin to recommend them to your own customers. So in response to that, we've set up these lunch and learn workshops with the goal being to give you all a more hands-on experience and to basically ensure that you have all the resources that you need to begin attaching our apps to all of your Office 365 customers. We hope that you will walk away with a better understanding of just how simple and easy it is to begin implementing and adding our apps to the solutions that we offer our customers. And so I want this to be as interactive as possible, and to that end, I am going to go ahead and unmute the participants. I believe. I might not be able to do that. There we go. So you should all be unmuted now and able to actively participate. If you are not in the middle of asking a question directly, I would ask that you mute yourselves, though, so that that's to preserve the quality of the recording. And so I want to walk you through what we're going to cover today. I do have some specific items that I want to make sure we get through. And then, of course, feel free to interject any questions as we go through, because, again, I want to make this as interactive as possible and make it as beneficial to everyone in attendance as possible. So we're going to start with, how do you get started? And, from the point of logging on to our partner portal and how you become a registered partner. We're assuming that you've signed up to be a partner already, but if you haven't gotten that far yet, I can certainly point you in the direction of how you go about doing that. And then, what's the difference between signing up and becoming an actual registered partner? We'll go over that. We'll go over, some of the benefits and what that enables you to do once you do become a registered partner. We'll also show you how to set up your own partner tile. That is a really cool feature that we've introduced recently, and we want to make sure that all of the partners take advantage of that. And then we'll also talk about provisioning, what's involved with provisioning our apps. We certainly do not require our partners to use the applications in their own environment themselves, but we certainly do highly recommend it. And it is actually a benefit. They're tools that you can certainly use within your own firm, or, some partners may have a testing environment that they set up to run them, and that's fine too. And then we'll talk about, once we get through that, how do I go about, as a partner, adding customers? And it's actually a very simple process, and we'll talk about the two ways that you can add customers as a partner. And then once we get through that, we'll go into the actual applications and show you how to enable the paid apps. Every new installation of attached apps comes, with the free application, Attached Contacts, and there is a process that you'll need to follow to actually enable the paid applications. And then how to deploy that to other users and assign security, for example. And then we'll go through configuration and customization. So you as partners, we anticipate that you would want to offer that as a service as far as, to your customer, how to go about configuring and customizing the apps to make them work and get the most out of the applications for the end customer. So we'll show you how to do that. And then we'll just talk about, the resources that you have available as a partner, our help files and our support site, as well as the documentation that we have available to you through our website. And then at the end, we'll also have just a wrap-up Q&A. But like I said, if at any point you have any specific questions you want to ask, please feel free to do that. You can either just speak up or send them via IM. And again, Peter is here, and he can help address some of those either through the instant messaging feedback, or he can just help us address those questions for you. Great. Well, we're going to get started. And so the first thing that I want to show you is what the experience is. So for somebody, for example, that has recently signed up but hasn't really done a whole lot beyond logging in with the credentials that we've sent you. So to illustrate that, I'm going to log in. And so again, this is the experience of a partner that has signed up, and it might be the first time that they log into our partner portal. And so this is what the screens would look like. So you see up here we have a couple of options. I can either go into the profile area of the portal or into the clients area. And so one of the first steps that you'll see in the email that goes out to you with those credentials is to go ahead and go into that profile area. And from here, the first thing that you want to do is to become a registered partner is to go in to check the box to agree to the partner terms of service. And so if you wanted to see what those are, you can certainly click on the link here, and that would take you to the website, to the section where we talk about the terms of service. Okay. And so, once you have glanced through that, and as long as you agree to all the terms, you can go ahead and check that box. And so what that enables you to do is that you can now, as a registered partner, begin to add clients. And so what that would look like, and let me show you, I'm going to go to a different web browser so I can show you the difference in the experience. And I don't think I've unmuted everybody, so I'm going to jump back into the panel here and make sure that I have unmuted other folks that may want to ask questions. Okay, so now I am back over into a different browser. I just want to show you, what it would look like once I agree to the terms of service. So this partner, other sample partner that I'm using, has indeed agreed to the partner terms of service, and as you can see, the difference here is that I can now see this URL that populated here for me. And so this is a custom URL that we give to every registered partner. And so again, this is one way that you can add clients and have those clients associated to you as a partner. So you can, if you have, depending on how you communicate your communications with your customers, you can, send them this URL when you're ready for to have them sign up for attached apps. So that's one way to do that. And I'm going to show you here in a little bit the second way that you can add customers. Any questions so far? Okay, I'm just going to keep on going then. Next, we're going to go through the support tab. So I mentioned earlier that this is a new feature we introduced recently, and it's something that's been a long time coming, and we're very excited about it, and I think we have a lot of partners that are excited about it. This support tab, and I'm going to show you what that actually looks like on the other end first, and then we'll come back to how it's set up. So I'm going to go back into the apps. And so what you see here is this tile up at the top of my attached apps dashboard is the tile that gets displayed for the partner. So right now I'm logged in as this particular partner, SG Graphics. But if I was a customer that came through to attached apps through SG Graphics, the partner, I would see the same tile appear on my dashboard. So again, this is a means for our partners to be able to communicate or pass along information to their customers via our dashboard. And so it just has different areas again where information can be presented. Okay, and so now I'm going to go back and show you how you would set that up. So I'm back to the portal experience. And within the profile, I'm back on the support tab. So again, the information that you see here is what gets presented on that tile. So from here, I can, for example, go in there and upload a different logo. I can change, the name, the way the company name appears, the address, phone number, and then particularly like this message, I can certainly make changes to that as, I want to have different communications out to my customers about what, what I want to keep them informed about. And so this information doesn't display unless you actually enable that this feature. So you see up at the top, if I click on that, it disables all the fields. In order to actually enable the tile for your customers, you have to actually turn that on. So then I save my changes, and again, whatever changes I make will be reflected back on that partner tile. Okay. So now we're going to go back to the portal for just a minute. So we've covered everything within the profile area that we wanted to cover. Next, I'm going to move on to the clients area. So here is what it would look like once you have, again, registered as a partner. You would get this add button here, and this is, again, another way that you can add clients. And the difference between that URL that you saw previously and this button here is that if I was to click here, it actually takes me into that same URL that gets presented in that profile area. So the difference being that if I'm adding clients directly from here, I have all the information that I need to sign up my client. So, if you have all those details and you want to add that client on, you're certainly welcome to do that. And the key factor is that in order to provision any new client, we must have a administrator account, email, and password that's linked to that Office 365 account that you're setting this up on. So as long as you have that information, again, you can easily add that client on yourself. But if that's not something that you have available to you, but you still want that client to be added and be associated to you as the partner, that's when you would send them the URL and just say, click on this URL and go fill out the form and submit the information so we can get you added on. And then once those get added, again, they would appear here on this list. So, in this case, this particular partner that we used to test has added these records or these clients. And then, again, going back to the provisioning piece for our partners, if you're somebody that hasn't provisioned yet, I wanted to go over what that's involved, what's involved with that. So, if you haven't done that yet, what you would see is under this clients area, you would see your particular company record. And so when you click on that, it would bring you to the screen. And here's where you would enter your own credentials so that your firm can be provisioned. You fill that in, you just click Get Attached Contacts, and it would walk you through the next steps. And again, it's not a requirement, but we highly recommend that our partners do that just so that they can become more familiar with the apps. Okay, do I have any questions up to this point? Peter, is there anything that I have forgotten to mention? Okay, well, I'm going to keep going then, and again, if you do have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand, and we can certainly keep going. right, sorry about that, Peter.
Can
I
you hear
think.
us?
Yep, now I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, I think you had me muted, but you figured that out. Thanks.
Yes. Okay. Anything else that I might have forgotten to cover there, Peter, or should we keep going?
Oh yeah, I think you've got it so far. If nobody has any questions, we can just keep going. I'm not sure if any of the attendees have tried some of these things. Certainly, if you've done some of this, or have tried it and maybe weren't able to get through it for some reason, really just feel free to chime in and ask a question.
Great. Okay. So again, the experience that you're seeing here on my screen, this particular partner, the experience is different. They now have this profile area, they have the clients area, and once they've provisioned, they also get the attached apps link so that they can actually jump into the applications. And so the other area I wanted to cover, so assuming that you do proceed to provision the apps, whether it be in your own live environment to use within your company or in some testing environment, or say you're doing neither of those, but you still need to know what the experience is going to look like for your customer so that you can provide that support for them when they have questions about anything. So one of the first things that you'll notice is, so obviously the dashboard experience that you're seeing here is for a firm that's been fully provisioned and they have all of the apps already enabled. When we first provision any client, the only thing that they get initially is attached contacts, which is the free application. So they would see this contacts icon at the top. They'd also see the staff icon, and they'd see the settings tab. So they wouldn't see any of the other stuff. Okay, so I'm going to show you how you go about enabling the other applications. So we go into the settings area. And so under user licensing is where you would go enable the other applications. And I actually have a snapshot of that because they've already been enabled in my live environment that I'm showing you. But this is what it would look like. We're under user licensing, and there would be an area that indicates that you need to click here to turn on Attached Contacts Plus for all users. So that's what it would look like. And you see over here, we always show, what the monthly license fee would be once you enable those apps. Here it's 0 because they haven't been enabled. But once you enable them, then it recalculates those licensing fees.
So Sylvia, if I could just interject for a second.
Sure.
I want to make sure everybody notices that up in the top bar where you see the icon, Sylvia did mention it in the prior screen, that currently here you just see the contacts icon, the staff icon, and the settings icon. And again, that's the way everybody gets initially provisioned. And you come here and click on the Click Here link to turn on Attached Contacts Plus. And then you start seeing the additional tiles up in the top once those other apps are turned on.
Okay. And so once we do that, you're able to go in here into the individual users and enable the licenses for those users. So the other thing that happens when we provision a firm is that the credentials for attached apps get created for each individual user, and those credentials get sent to the administrator, and then the administrator can email those out to the end user once the administrator feels like the time is right. And so we want to give the administrator that discretion to send those out, because you might have different users on here that you don't necessarily want in the apps just yet, or for whatever reason you don't have to turn on every app for every user upon provisioning. So we give you that option. Okay. So, that's user licensing. And again, you can see the difference here on the screen. Now I'm able to tell, what the licensing cost, monthly cost is based on the apps that I've enabled for each of the users. And then after that, the next thing you'd want to do is to, now that you've licensed them for the apps, you want to be able to set up their user security. And you'll notice one thing, we didn't have this user security. If I go back to the screenshot of enabling the apps, you see that there's no user security tab showing up here, and that's because in the free application there is no way to assign user security. So that's one of the benefits of going into Contacts Plus, the paid app, the first paid app, is that it enables the ability to set up user roles or security roles. And so this is where you would do that from. You would go to the individual users and then assign them a specific security class. And so if you're wondering, well, what do the security classes allow them to do? If I assign somebody primary user, well, what is that person able to do or not do in the apps? And so this is probably a good segue into introducing you to the help files if you haven't been there yet. We have a help button up at the top that integrates nicely with the apps. So if I click on that, and let's just say I type in security class, it's going to give me a list of all the related articles to what I typed in there. So I'm going to pick this first article because I know that that's where the actual descriptions of the security classes are. So you'll notice it took me to another tab in my browser, and it launched our support site from there. And as you can see, it pulled up the specifics about how to set up security classes and what each of the classes allows the end user to do or not do. And you'll find there's a lot of information in here actually. If I go back to just the knowledge base area, you can run a search for pretty much anything related to the apps, and we have quite a few articles. We have some training videos as well that you can point your users to, or if you want to take a look in here yourselves, you can certainly do that. But again, it's really a good resource for users to have. The other thing I'll point out is that you'll notice up here at the top, it recognizes that Sarah is the one logged in. And we use Zendesk for our support site. That's where it's hosted, and we use single sign-on with Zendesk. So when we create a user for attached apps, it also creates a user within Zendesk, and that's how it's recognizing that I am logged in as Sarah to the apps. And so that's significant because from here I can, if I needed to, and especially for our partners, you can submit a request directly from here, and then we'd be able to recognize exactly who that came from. Okay, I'm going to go back to the apps, and let's see. Do I have a question? Okay, great. Let's see, anything else? Oh, well, while I'm here, and if there's not any specific questions about anything that I've covered so far, I thought one of the things we could do next is to jump into the other areas of settings. So you see there's other tabs in here that we can go through. And so again, the experience that you're seeing here is, when you provision the apps, you'll be able to access this for your own firm. But the significance here is that as a partner, you will also have access to setting this stuff up for your customers, and therefore, act in the role of the administrator. So as we go through these, you'll, just keep that in mind that, this is an area where either you as the partner can administer the apps for the customer, or somebody within the company at the customer site can do this as well. And so the first tab you see here is the admin account tab. Here's where, and this is a very important tab actually, because this is what keeps the Exchange integration in sync with our apps. So right now these are actually typically enabled. Right now this is a test environment we're in, so that's why they were turned off. But typically this is what this would look like. And again, these are the credentials that were used for provisioning the apps for that administrator account. So anytime that the password for that account changes on the Office 365 side, it needs to be updated in here, or else it breaks the integration with attached apps. So if you ever have complaints from users about, they can't import contacts from Outlook, or maybe the sync feature or the email tracking feature doesn't appear to be working, this is like the first place you would want to check to make sure that there isn't an issue with the credentials that are saved in here. And so right now, as I mentioned, these two checkboxes typically stay checked. So if you come in here to check things out and these two happen to not be checked, it probably would indicate that the integration was turned off because the credentials no longer match. Okay. Next, we have the org name and logo area. So here is where you can put a specific logo for the customer and a company name. And we're actually still in the middle of developing more around this particular area, but we wanted to leave this in here as a holding place for that information. So it's actually not going to show up anywhere now, but I think within the next couple of weeks or so, we're going to be able to display this stuff on the dashboard as well. The lists and drop-downs area is fairly key to the apps as far as the customization goes. So this is where we would go in to customize all of the drop-down lists that you see, the pick lists that you see throughout the apps. And you can see there's a few within each area. So for example, in contacts, every one of these lists comes pre-populated with some values just out of the box, and that we did that so that it gives the end user the a way to recognize what their intended use is. But you can certainly come in here and add, delete, merge values as you need to, again, to make it a more specific application for whatever business your customer is in. Particularly like in sales, the sales stages, again, these are kind of generic sales stages, but depending on what the pipeline tracking looks like for an individual customer, these can certainly be changed so that it matches what their internal processes are. So again, these are all areas where you as the partner can step in and provide that level of consulting or customization for your customer to help them get this all set up in a way that makes it most useful for them. Okay. Let's see, we've already talked about user security and licensing. Email tracking is a feature of our apps that a lot of people really like. And so we have the capability to track email at the contact level or within the sales and customers apps. And so what that means is at the contact base level, it's very straightforward. It's based on the email address that you select to track email for. So that's pretty straightforward. And with sales and customers, it's just slightly different in that we just have to set up parameters around the subject line of an email and then include those in the email exchanges that we want attached apps to profile the emails for. And so this is, again, where you would go in to set up that information, to set up those parameters. This can be anything as long as, again, you put in a begin and an end term. That way we know when we pull Exchange what should be profiled. Then we get into numbering, pretty easy one. This is basically, what you want your starting number to be for the next set of opportunities or projects. And this really only comes into play if, I think by default, it starts with like 1,000. But, if your customer is coming off of some other system where they've already been tracking, opportunity numbers and say they left off at, 10,050 or whatever in the old system, maybe they want to start with the, whatever the next sequential number is here so that they can just start creating new records here, with the same numbering convention. And then lastly, the support tab here. So here I'm logged in as a partner, so there's no partner selected. But what your client would see, let me pull up, here we go. So what your client would see would be something similar to this, where when they go to the support partner tab, it would tell them who their assigned support partner is, and then they have the option to check or uncheck this box that would allow you as the partner to access the administrative section of the apps for them. So they do have that option. Okay, so that is all of the settings, the customization and configuration that I wanted to go over. Hopefully that gives you a better understanding of the flow of that. Unless there are any other specific questions, there's one other thing that I wanted to go over with you with regard to other available resources. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes if you want to type in a question or ask a question. I'm definitely open to that now. And Peter, if there's anything else that you think we might need to stress at this point.
Yeah, no, I think you've covered it pretty well. So yeah, just reiterate to all the attendees any questions at all, any of these things that you may have tried or have a specific question about, just feel free.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and move on, and like I said, I do want to show you where some of the other resources that are available to you as a partner and how to get there. So I don't know how many of you have visited our website recently, but we have put some new information on here probably in the last couple of weeks, 3 weeks, that some of you may not have even noticed or knew about. So in the website, under the partner section, you'll notice we have quite a few things that we've added. And by the way, if you're in the audience and you haven't signed up, this is where you would do that from as well. Here's a partner sign up link right here. But we have the partner FAQs here. We have SMB selling points. And that speaks to, who our target customers are. If you're still trying to figure out, what exactly, who would benefit, or who is our intended customer, who would benefit from using our apps. This is some other literature that you can definitely go through. Here's some sales examples for you that give you a better idea of, again, who our target market is and how, that may be applicable to your customer base. And then we also have these webinars that we're doing are also being posted here under partner webinars. There's a couple in here now, and I believe these are from the webinars we've done with Harry Brailsford with the SMB Nation group. So you're welcome to look through those. And the beauty of these is that, they're recorded, so you can certainly, rewind, fast forward, get to the items that you have questions on fairly easily. I don't remember how long each of these are, but again, you can view these and get the points out of them that, you need to. And we also have a download section that has a few documents in here. We'll probably keep adding more as we go, but for example, you probably, if you've signed up and registered, you should have received a Getting Started guide that has a lot of this information, and pretty much all the information that I went through with you today you should be able to find in that guide. And then we have one that's for admins and end users, and again, the difference here being that this guide here has specific information just for partners, whereas the other is more geared towards specifically what an admin should do upon provisioning and how end users can easily get started using the apps. Then we have some other marketing materials for you as well, and like I said, we'll continue to build upon what you see here as we get more feedback too from our partners indicating what other resources they're looking for to better position themselves to get us in front of their clients.
Yeah, so I can just add that those two links there, the messaging, client messaging, there's some good information in there that we've prepared that just outline some of the, again, the selling points, the things that you might want to message your clients with regarding attached apps and how the products will help them be more productive in their businesses.
Great. So Peter, are there any IM questions that came through, or?
No, I haven't seen any. So
Okay.
yeah, I guess we can just again open it up to the attendees that are with us. If there's anything at all, feel free to speak up. And I'm also, in addition to that, if you're more comfortable, asking a question or getting into some topics one-on-one, absolutely feel free to get in touch with either Sylvia or myself with a phone call or an email, and we're happy to interact and provide whatever additional kind of assistance or information you might be in need of.
Great. Well, I appreciate everyone's time today, and as Peter mentioned, we welcome any and all questions and any other feedback that you have. So again, thank you for your time today.
Thanks for joining us.